There are now 17 states supporting a lawsuit filed by the state of Texas before the Supreme Court, asking the court to just straight up disenfranchise the voters of 4 other states because those voters didn't vote for who they wanted them to vote for. The suit is being spearheaded by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, a man who fired whistleblowers in his office who came forward with allegations he did favors for a political donor and who has been under indictment for security fraud for 5 years ago. The Paxton suit is now backed by the President of the United States and 17 Republican attorneys general. Republican Congressman Mike Johnson of Louisiana has also emailed every single one of his Republican colleagues with the subject heading, time-sensitive request from President Trump asking them to sign on to an amicus brief too. Trump himself has now filed in support. Now, let me be clear. This suit has no chance in hell of winning. But it is as brazen an assault on the very nature of our union by elected officials as I have ever seen in my life. George Conway, an extremely prominent legal conservative, someone the Trump administration considered for Solicitor General, described it as crazy.
This is the most insane thing yet. It's absurd and an embarrassment. And for a public official, let alone any lawyer, let alone any member of the Supreme Court bar, bring this lawsuit is atrocious.
All 4 states targeted by this absurd lawsuit are swing states that narrowly went for Biden: Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Those states have to file their opposition to the suit with the Supreme Court by tomorrow afternoon. And the Attorney General of one of those states, state of Michigan, Dana Nessel, joins me now. First, I guess, Attorney General, explain to us what is this suit and how seriously we should take it.
I almost don't know how to describe whatever this lawsuit is because it's so insane. And it's insulting, quite honestly, to have the state of Texas come in to my state, Michigan, and to try to overturn the results where nearly 155,000 Michigan voters voted for President-elect Biden over President Trump, and to now say that you want to come in and intervene in our state's elections. It's outrageous. I don't believe that it's going to be granted, but just the mere effort to do this, I think, is beneath the dignity of the Department of Attorney General in Texas. I feel bad for the taxpayers who have to finance this. And honestly, I'm ashamed of all the Republican AGs that decided to sign on to this effort.
I couldn't help but notice, I was going through the filing, which I couldn't help but notice that, they have these, they don't like the way you ran your elections. Really, they don't like the outcome. But one couldn't help but notice that, say, the state of North Carolina is not being sued, even though they made changes to how they were dealing with voting in a pandemic. The state of Texas made changes to how they were voting in a pandemic. It seems pretty clear what this is about.
Yeah, well, I don't really care for the way that Texas ran their elections. I thought it was outrageous that they allowed for only 1 drop box per county. Travis County, a population of 1.27 million people. I mean, clearly an attempt to disenfranchise minority voters. But you didn't see Michigan suing the state of Texas, did you? Because that would have been wrong. And I can't even imagine what kind of precedent it would set to allow states to sue other states when they don't like the outcome of their elections. But what's even more outrageous is that, for instance, our state house remained in Republican hands. Why are they not suing about that situation? I mean, why is it only whatever happened at the top of the ticket? Because if there was fraud at the top of the ticket, how come that didn't extend to the other offices that were being voted on the same ballots?
Do you have, it was striking to me to watch the 2 sitting senators from Georgia who are in runoffs because of the actions of the voters on the same election endorse an effort by other states to throw their constituents' votes out. That happened. OK, Perdue and Loeffler have backed this. Do you have Michigan Republicans who are supporting the effort of other states to throw out your state's votes?
If they have, I haven't yet seen that. But, I would caution, of course, anybody in my state to be careful. If they want to see the results of our election overturned, why not next time? Why doesn't California sue us if we happen to vote for a Republican? Why doesn't New York sue us or Massachusetts? I mean, where does this end, really? Our state regulates time, place, and manner for our elections. These same claims have been heard over and over and over in our state and federal courts. The Trump campaign has lost each and every time.
I'm trying to find I'm trying to communicate to people how wildly anomalous this is. I mean, there's original jurisdiction in the Supreme Court for contests between states, and states do have disputes. I mean, there was a famous case that went to the Supreme Court between New York and New Jersey over who owned Ellis Island, right? That's the kind of thing. Like, is there any precedent for this kind of suit that is now being undertaken by 17 states and joined by the president?
No, there isn't. As you indicated, sometimes there are border disputes, water rights disputes, although those are very rare. But no, I've never seen anything like this. I don't know that I've talked to anyone who has seen anything like this before. It is so incredibly outrageous. And I will say this directly to General Paxton, if he's watching. You know who voted for you in Michigan, General Paxton? No one. Literally no one. So stay in your lane and, stick to trying to disenfranchise voters in your own state. Don't come to mine.
Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel, who will be part of the team, I think, filing those response briefs. I don't think the court is going to take this, but we shall see. Thank you.